This is going to be a pretty nice pool, but it needs a deck around it, so let's get to work. Anytime we get a mounted concrete, we always clean out the excess and imperfections. And then I'm also going to go ahead and try to line up this all thread. Doesn't need to be perfect, just a little bit better than what it is, so that it's easier for us to put the board in here. Now I'm going to measure the length of my board. I leave it a little long because I like to cut things in place after. Just my method of working. And now to mark this, we try to mark it from the bottom. And I like to use a square to make sure the mark is true to where the all thread is. Next, I'm double checking the height of the Silke plates. They're 1.5 inches perfectly, same as this block. So I'm going to use this to pass the measurements to the guys. I add 1/4 inch to each measurement because this is 1/2 inch all thread and I want the hole to be centered on the metal. They're not perfectly straight. The measurements vary quite a bit, so you gotta send one by one or you're never gonna line up. Nuno drills the holes down on the ground and then he's gonna pass the board back up. And then see if you're catching what I'm missing here. I haven't caught it yet. I'm gonna put this board all the way in, slam it down, and then I realize, oh shit, I forgot something. I won't tell you what it is, you'll see it, but yeah. I had to take the time to take the board back off, which wasn't easy. This video right here is sped up 52 times, so that's about 2 minutes to try to get out. But you gotta do what's right. I'm tying my hair because I guess I had enough of it in my face. And also because this is very sticky butyl tape, and you don't want that in your hair. That would be a mess. This protects the wood from further rot. You don't want wood touching concrete. Especially outside. Even if it's treated, this is good practice. Now we're going to keep going with the same process to finish out the rest of the deck. Measure each hole individually, put the board in place. Did not forget the tape this time. Good job us. And then same thing, you gotta just get the holes in there first. Eventually it lines up and the sledgehammer helps quite a bit. Now this is going to be a double over here on the pool, so we're going to add another board everywhere. While the guys are drilling the holes in the other board, I'm checking the Silke grates here to see if they'll fit. It looks like I set it a little high, but it's okay. It's better to just keep going. I can plane the difference down later and just adjust instead of having to take the board off and do a new hole, which wouldn't be good anyways. Once we have the doubles, we'll go ahead and cut these bolts a little bit shorter and then clean out the edges and add the washers and nuts. Look how much this pulls it in when he ties it. That's satisfying. Now I'm going to do adjustments before I do anything else. Now that these doubles are tight and in place, I'll make sure the Silke grate perfectly lines up with the stone. This is really important. If I don't get this right, the stone they put on these grates is going to be higher than the stone they already have. So this is really important. You got to make sure it's perfect. And if they did work that's not perfectly level, you got to adjust to them. You can't do your thing in a perfect line if theirs isn't. Luckily these guys are pretty good, so it was pretty easy to keep consistent and make sure it works. I had to get the end with the oscillating tool because the planer wouldn't get all the way. And now that that's done, we can start transferring the line so that we can install the ledger on the wall. I made this little jig here with the block because of the way they had this trim. Basically two 2x4 blocks screwed together at a 90. And then I'll transfer the measurement that I got earlier to the block so that whenever he puts the block on the laser line, the mark is going to be in the right place. I asked him to double check with a torpedo to make sure we're not, twisting the level, because that would set it off. And then we'll pop the line. Blue line is perfect for black paper, shows up really well. And now we just got to repeat the process on this side of the deck. And I'll double check everywhere in the middle and in the end as well. I know I could have just done one line in the end. I just did this middle to double check to see everything is running okay. Gene will pop this line in 2 sections because it's a long one, so we like to do it that way. Now we can start installing these ledgers. He cut that down a little bit because that was going to be too short of a block to finish out this ledger, so we'd like to have a little bit longer. The guys are having to work a little bit to get this board to straighten out. It had quite the bow, but they got it. We'll shoot them in with the framing gun first, and then later we'll add some ledger locks. Now that this side is done, we can go ahead and do the other run. Same thing, just keep it to the line. And I have to cut out this excess here that was done from the previous demo so that we can extend the deck. The new deck is going to extend a little bit longer than the house, and that's so that it can turn into some stairs. Now we're going to use this jig here to splice this tape in half. I need about 6-inch roll. And here I was trying to mess with Nuno. He was too quick though. We're going to use this tape as basically as flashing so that the Silke system can go on top. There will be additional flashing done later, but that's just the first step. Now you can see that I'm having to measure each joist individually. That's good practice anyways, but look at that. Definitely can't just have it doing its own thing. And you often have to adjust it even after you cut because the thing's not plumb. This side wasn't much better, but it's okay, we got it done. It just takes a little bit more time to cut each one individually. Now the joists are all in place, you can go ahead and add our joist hangers. And there you go. The deck is framed. This is what it's going to be looking like. Everything is going to be exactly the same stone as you have on the coping of the pool. So in order for us to do that, you have to add these Silke grates here. Your deck has to be framed 16 inches on center for this to work. And it also has to be nice and straight, so that's why Nuno's planing some of the points here. Now we just need to install the Silke grates, and the stone guys will come in and do the rest and install the travertine on the deck.